Greetings, race fans and motorsports enthusiasts around the world. My name is Andrew Kim, and this is Retro Motor Vibes, where I highlight anniversary stories and break down motorsports events near and far. For today's audio episode, here's a full breakdown of the 2026 Daytona 500 that was won by Tyler Reddick and 2311 Racing. Without further ado, let's break the event down. The 2026 Daytona 500 event marked the 68th occurrence of NASCAR's most prestigious event on the calendar, held at the 2.5-mile superspeedway track of Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. It also officially launched the NASCAR Cup Series' 78th season of competition. The starting lineup for this year's Daytona 500 event was determined through two sessions. The first was through a single-car qualifying session that comprised of 2 rounds. Each competitor entered to contend for a starting spot for the Daytona 500, cycled once around Daytona to post the fastest qualifying lap amongst one another during the first round. In the second and final round, only the top 10 fastest qualifiers transferred and contended for both the pole position and a front row starting spot. The second session was through a pair of America 250 Florida dual events that each spanned 60 laps. The duels determined the rest of the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 based on dual finishes, with the first duel results determining the odd number starting positions, while the second duel determined the even numbered starting positions. Here is the list of 45 competitors listed in chronological order based on their respective numbers who contended for starting spots for this year's Daytona 500. In this list, the 36 competitors that are highlighted in bold were automatically guaranteed starting spots for this year's Daytona 500 since all competed in chartered entries that guaranteed them starting spots for the event. A notable inclusion is number 84, Jimmy Johnson, who initially was not automatically guaranteed for the event since he was competing in an open entry, but was granted an open exemption provisional that allowed him to compete in the event. The rest of the competitors that are not highlighted in bold meant that they all were competing in open entries and had to earn their starting spots for this year's Daytona 500 through 2 scenarios: either be the highest amongst one another during Wednesday's single-car qualifying session or do Thursday's duels. With 8 open competitors competing against one another, only half would make the event, while the remaining half would not. At the conclusion of Wednesday night's qualifying session, Kyle Busch sped to his first ever Daytona 500 pole position after he posted a pole-winning lap at 183.651 miles per hour in 49.006 seconds. Chase Briscoe, who won the pole position for the 2025 Daytona 500, qualified in second place with a lap of 183.587 miles per hour in 49.023 seconds. In addition, Corey Heim and Justin Allgaier were the first pair of open competitors to automatically secure guaranteed spots for the Daytona 500 due to being the 2 fastest open qualifiers. During Thursday's dual events, Joey Logano and Chase Elliott won the first and second dual events respectively. As a result, Logano was awarded the 3rd place starting spot for the Daytona 500, while Elliott was awarded the 4th place starting spot. Meanwhile, Casey Mears and BJ McLeod were the final 2 open competitors to secure starting spots for the Daytona 500 based on both being the highest finishing open competitors during the first and second duels respectively. The remaining open competitors that included Anthony Alfredo, Corey LaJoie, Chandler Smith, and JJ Yaley did not qualify for this year's Daytona 500. Here is how the 41 competitors who qualified for the Daytona 500 lined up, from 1st to 41st. Prior to Sunday's Daytona 500, a host of names that included Chris Buescher, William Byron, Ross Chastain, and Daniel Suarez were forced to start at the rear of the field in backup entries. This is because all wrecked their primary entries during their respective dual events. In addition, the event moved up 1 hour from its original starting time of 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1:30 p.m. due to potential threats of weather. The 2026 Daytona 500's first stage period spanned the first 65 scheduled laps. During this first stage period, there were 13 occurrences of lead changes as a total of 7 competitors, including the pole sitter Kyle Busch, led at least a lap. In addition, this stage generated a single caution for 4 laps. This stage's only incident occurred on the 4th lap when BJ McLeod blew a right rear tire, spun through turns 3 and 4, and was barely hit by both Justin Allgaier and William Byron. McLeod would ultimately be the first retiree of the event. Another competitor who led throughout the first stage period was John Hunter Nemechek. He ended up leading the most laps during this stage at 19. With early pit strategies occurring and being split amongst the field, Zane Smith, who was among 10 competitors who elected not to pit early and instead pursue stage points, captured his first career stage victory as this stage concluded on lap 65. The second stage period of this year's Daytona 500 spans 60 laps from lap 71 to lap 130. This stage featured 24 lead changes for 12 different leaders and 2 cautions for 17 laps. This stage's first caution occurred on lap 85 when a 9-car wreck erupted on the front stretch and eliminated notables that included rookie Connor Zillage, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Dillon. The second caution that occurred on lap 123 involved 20 competitors. It all started when the leader Justin Allgaier executed a late block on Denny Hamlin that resulted with Allgaier getting turned due to start-finish line and igniting a stack-up and a chain reaction wreckage. At the front of the field, both Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain each led the most laps at 11. But in the end, Bubba Wallace, who led 10 laps and who avoided the 20-car pileup, cruised to the second stage victory that concluded under caution. The event's third and final stage period spans 66 laps from lap 135 to 200. This stage featured 26 lead changes for 12 different leaders. This stage featured only a single caution that flew with 9 laps remaining when Christopher Bell, who led 9 laps and was a front runner, was turned by teammate Denny Hamlin and wrecked against the outside wall due to front stretch. The competitor who led the most laps was Bubba Wallace at 30, as Wallace had spent a majority of this stage battling with Toyota teammates Christopher Bell and Corey Heim for the lead. Amid the aggressiveness and the 3-wide packed racing that occurred from start to finish, fuel saving was also a reoccurring theme that was exhibited from the field. And during late cycle green flag pit stops for fuel, the field shuffled up within the leaderboard as new competitors that had not contended for the lead throughout the event, including Tyler Reddick, cycled to the lead. During a 4-lap shootout to the finish, Reddick remained in contention and within the top 5 mark while he was also trying to receive the necessary drafts to use to get to the front. Then, at the start of the final stage, he dodged spins by the leaders Michael McDowell and Carson Hocevar along with Eric Jones. He then received a draft from teammate Riley Herbst to reel in on the leaders Chase Elliott and Zane Smith with the finish line in sight. And through 2 final turns and a straightaway to the line, Reddick crossed over twice, once from the right and then to the left, that enabled him to overtake both Smith and Elliott. With the lead in his possession, Reddick powered away just as the rest of the front runners, including Elliott and Smith, wrecked to win the Great American Race. With the victory, Reddick, who had gone winless all of the previous season, achieved his 9th career win in the NASCAR Cup Series division, his first victory in a crown jewel prestigious event, and he became the 44th competitor to win the Daytona 500. The Daytona 500 victory was also the first for Reddick's team, 2311 Racing, a team that had endured an off-track lotto suit battle against NASCAR over unfair charter agreement before reaching a settlement this past mid-December. Overall, the 2026 Daytona 500 event featured 66 lead changes for 26 different leaders and 5 cautions for 32 laps. Here are the final results of the 2026 Daytona 500. While 32 of 41 starters finished the event overall, 25 completed all 200 scheduled laps. Next, here is the season standings following the first race of the 2026 Cup Series season. Tyler Reddick's first Daytona 500 victory on Sunday capped off an eventful quadruple header weekend of racing. On Friday night, Chandler Smith won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season opening event at Daytona after he went from third to sixth and back up to first on the final lap and with the finish line in sight. The next day, Truck Series competitor Giovanni Ruggiero rallied from wrecking out two leaders within 2 laps to fend off the field during a one-lap shootout and score his first ARCA Menard Series career victory while driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Saturday's action of racing concluded with Austin Hill capping off a dominant run by winning the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series season opener at Daytona for an unprecedented 4th time in 5 years. With the 2026 NASCAR racing season officially in full swing, all 3 division series, Truck, O'Reilly, and Cup, return next weekend for another triple-header weekend of superspeedway racing, this time at Echo Park Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. The Truck Series commences the weekend with the Freight Racing 208 on Saturday, February 21st at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1, NASCAR Racing Network, and SiriusXM. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series also follows suit on Saturday with the Bennett Transportation and Logistics 250 that will air beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the CW Network, PRN Radio, and SiriusXM. The Cup Series will cap off the weekend by hosting its second scheduled event of this season, the Auto Trader 400 on Sunday, February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox, PRN, SiriusXM, and HBO Max. That's all for this episode. Have a great rest of your day, and see you on the next episode of Retro Motor Vibes.